What? Just trying to cultivate my mysterious and dark persona, guys. I think I'll put on a jacket, maybe. Maybe I'll get a little bit more edgy. I really like the dark, cool, mysterious vibes this is giving off. Now, I'm just kidding, guys. Today we're going to talk about dark horse contenders. If you don't know what a dark horse contender is, I don't know what to tell you. So, basically, a dark horse contender, as I'm going to call it for this video, and I'm going to be very dramatic about my voice. It's basically a team that you look over and go, you know, if they get a little bit of voodoo, some luck, maybe they pick up the pace when the playoff starts, you know. Maybe this team won't be drowning in gumbo this year. Maybe this team will be drowning in championship aura, skibbity phantom tax, and whatnot. So, what teams am I going to be talking about in this video? So, as alluded to in my previous video, the only teams that I think actually are dark horses and actually have a chance of winning a championship and actually are just not contenders, because let's be honest, if you think this team is going to win the finals, I'm not going to argue with you that they could. I'm just going to look at you and tell you with a straight face, they probably won't. So why would you waste your breath about this then? The name of the game on basketball YouTube is pulling your receipt and saying, I told you. I love that. That's probably the only reason I make videos. Now, for example, you might be wondering, well, that's the only reason you make videos. Why haven't you been making this? Shut up. So, besides making fun of the viewer, I think I've got that on my checklist. I've alluded to which teams I'm going to talk about without actually saying what name they are. And I have cultivated my mysterious aura. I'm so pompous. I'm so cool. You could call me soupy with it. Okay, so the teams that we're going to be talking about today are the Indiana Pacers. I know a lot of you don't know where Indiana is. Neither do I. Don't worry about it. And the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, not to give you girl logic and whatnot, but a pelican not really beaten, like a bull or anything. I don't know. So basically, let me give you a quick rundown of the history of the Pelicans and why they exist. So basically, a long time ago, Charlotte had just gotten a team in the 90s. Oh, ancient times. Oh, such a long time ago, before I was alive. But they eventually had to move out of Charlotte because their owner wanted to build a new stadium there, and the town was like, no, we're not doing that. No. So they moved to New Orleans, a team in a city that could, actually, we're actually willing to give you a new arena since we have nothing. Everything in Hurricane Katrina blew up almost everything. So I think this would actually be a great move for you to come over here and exist. And, that'd be great for us. So basically that happened. And now the New Orleans is... So the Hornets that came back to Charlotte as the Bobcats because they no longer own that name. Right? Follow me. I know the history lesson is important. It's hard. I know some of you haven't had a history lesson since high school, but you gotta follow me. Listen. So, this team that became the Bobcats was the worst and most atrocious garbage of all time. If I ever do edit in a videos, it might be to just show you how terrible their jerseys were, how terrible their record was. There was a season where they won 8 games. I don't have to say anything else. This is an 82-game season sport, unless there's a lockout, which they did win only 8 games in a lockout season. But if you look at their win percentage, it was disturbingly bad. Nasty. But hey, that team went on to get their name back as the Charlotte Hornets. I don't know how they got it back. I'm pretty sure they just bought it back, which... But not $1 million baby, more like $1 billion with a B. No, joke. I don't know. Actually, really don't know how they got their name back. Might look into that. But hey, they got their name back, and they still suck to this day. Sucks to suck. But hey, over in Charlotte, when they became the Hornets, the team that was now the Hornets became the Pelicans. And now I've basically given you a synopsis of everything you need to know about both of those teams. One of them is irrelevant, and the only one I'm talking about today is going to be the Pelicans because they are the dark horse, and they're a team that could actually win the championship if everything was right. They made a great addition in DeJounte Murray, who they just fleeced off of they just give me that. They just straight took that from the Atlanta Hawks, and that mid organization is probably going to get better by subtraction, which is weird, but I'm not going to talk about that team because they're not real and they can't hurt me. So why do I think they could win a championship? Well, look, I'm gonna be honest. The reason they can win a championship has been the reason they could win a championship every other previous year, except they actually have a point guard this time who's gonna divvy out the ball better for the first time since Lonzo Ball. And if you're wondering who that is, don't worry about it. His kneecaps don't know who they are anyway. They're gone. Well, anyway, so this team has an actual chance to win the championship because of their additions they made this offseason. Now, would I be surprised if they missed the playoffs? Yes. How did you do that? What the heck? How am I gonna make this video? How am I gonna tell people I told you so if they don't even make the playoffs? I'd be flummoxed, to say the least. But no, Zion Williamson is a bona fide superstar if he's playing. And I know I am a certified Joel Embiid hater, but I don't know. Something about Zion Williamson is like crack in the 80s. Not that I was alive to know about this, but when it hits, it hits. So, why would I think that Zion Williamson is going to have a healthy year this year? He had a healthier season last year. And when he was playing, big if, when he's playing, he and the Pelicans are such a perfect fit. They got Jose Alvarado. He's a great role player. He fits into the system expertly. I think he can bring a nice energy to the team. He's a great gritty player. He's like if Patrick Beverley wasn't a crackhead and was more like a distinguished man who I think could play the role of Alexander Hamilton on Broadway one day. I gotta hold it. I'm doing the bit. I can literally hear crickets chirping in my backyard. But regardless, that team could actually get it done. Got great depth. They got Trey Murphy. I think they had to get rid of Dyson Daniels, if I'm not mistaken, in the move to get DeJounte Murray, but I don't care, to be honest. Like, Dyson Daniels was drafted last year and really didn't show that much promise to me in his rookie season. So getting rid of him for a all-star who I think will get bounced back on the defensive end, which I don't 100% believe in him bouncing back on the defensive end, but I do think he should be better than when he was playing with Trae Young and had to carry the offense and the defense at the same time. Because, fun fact, Trae with the ball out of his hands is certainly a prospect, and those two playing together always seemed redundant to me. And I thought that DeJounte would play the defensive role on the last team, and it didn't work out because the offense of the Hawks is actually that lacking. But hey. On the Pelicans, he should have no hard time finding Zion Williamson, who is literally always open, because just throw it up there somewhere, he's going to get it. And then when he does get it, he's going to cock it back, 360, ooga booga, all over you, buddy. There's nothing you can do about that. Brandon Ingram, has been injured too, and no one really seems to talk about it because of how injury-prone Zion Williamson is, but I do truly believe that, yeah, they could bounce back. That's a realistic possibility. And also, I think this is actually pretty good. I think they draft pretty well as well. They have Herb Jones, who's all-NBA defensive player. I think he was on the first team or the second team. I'm not really sure which. But all I do know is that if you're trying to list out people who can win the Defensive Player of the Year, and if the Pelicans have a successful season, hey, if I'm not saying you should go all the way out to Vegas and put money on them, but I am saying, let's go gambling. And I'm 21 now. I can actually say that now without the FBI breaking into my room and, Malcolm Xing and Mo King. I like these threads a lot, and I would hate to get a little bit of red on them, if you get where my drift is. But hey, that's just the start of this video. That's the first half. You might be saying 9 minutes in and we're only getting to the first half. Well, I had a little bit of banter at the beginning of the video. So let's talk about the Pacers, who I actually think is an actual team that is a fringe contender and not a dark horse. Now, a fringe contender to me means, yeah, any given day you could be a contender. Like, I could just wake up one day and be like, you know what? I was wrong about this other team. I'm rejecting and rescinding your contender status, loser. Go ahead and give that up to the Indiana Pacers. Now, I did briefly talk about the Indiana Pacers in the last video, but here's the recap. Rick Carlisle, really good coach, very good, and making the team very good offensively. Tyrese Halliburton played through an injury last year that honestly I don't think he should have played through. I don't think there was real stakes in the Pacers. They dropped in the standings out of pretty much nowhere, and they had a really good run. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, as you all remember. If you actually know what basketball is and you're not an alien. Yeah, there's one alien that knows what basketball is, but his name is Victor Wembanyama, and hey, you can click off this video right now and go watch his highlights. He's that good. You can click off right now, but don't, please don't. I need these videos to do good. I want to quit my day job. But hey, yeah. So why do I think the Pacers are a real contender? Besides the reason I just listed, I think Tyrese Halliburton is going to bounce back from his injury. I know I said in my previous video that I don't think a lot of players will bounce back from their injuries. Well, everybody is in the super soldier era now. If you have what would be a career-ending injury in the 90s, the early 2010s, the 2000s, the 80s, the 70s, and probably an injury that would have just killed you outright in the 60s. I actually don't know what happened in the 60s. I'm pretty sure if you had like an ACL tear in the 50s, you just died instantaneously. You were just atomized immediately. This was back when they were playing in black and white, and you know that most of the players were not bigger than black and white. So they were Caucasian. A real fake era of basketball being played then. But hey, six teams, bro. 6 teams. There was no need for conferences. There were 6 teams. Can you believe that? They had 5. They had 1/5 of the teams we currently have now, and they want me to validate that era of basketball. Not happening. Anyway, as far as the Pacers, go. I'm not gonna tell you about their origins in the ABA because that has no relevance to what we're talking about today. But I had fun fact. The Pacers have Miles Turner, who is a pretty good 3D playing center. I really do think he stretches the floor well. I think he defends pretty well, and for at least for what this team asks of him, he's not the world's greatest defender. That can be lost in translation because every year it seems like there was a hype wagon for them. Like, trade Miles Turner, trade him. And everyone was like, okay, but like for what though? Like a bag of chips, Frito-Lays? Like what are you gonna get from him? Like, you can get real decent value out of him. Like, well, then why does every team trade for him then if we can get real good decent value out of him? I don't know. Now that the Pacers are relevant and I think they could actually contend, they could actually do it, maybe, possibly. I don't know. So look, their offense is actually prolifically good. It is disturbing. Their defense was not even a top 16 team in the playoffs. Think about that. They were not a top 16 team defensively when heading into the playoffs. And a lot of people wrote them off as a first-round exit until Giannis' injury happened. But for some reason, before the series started, before I knew Giannis was not going to play a game, I had the Pacers in 6. And do you want to know what the Pacers went on and did? They beat them boys in 6. So, hey, you might be saying, well, they're injured. It's not about... Sometimes when you play a team that's injured, the team gives you false confidence in them. This did the exact opposite for me, right? This did not give me false confidence in them. I actually started to believe in them a little bit more. I was like, they look really good. You might be saying, well, they won in 6 against a pretty injury-infested team. That's what we're gonna say, all right? I'm not gonna cut out me stuttering because that's not organic, and this is what this video is supposed to be. This is what the channel is supposed to cultivate: organic basketball talks. But yeah, they didn't give me false confidence. I was like, well, they're probably still gonna go home next round to the Knicks, who I had beating the Sixers. My bracket was looking great. It was looking real good. And the reason I had the Pacers beating the Bucks is because like every single regular season matchup, they matched up really well against them, and they just outscored the Bucks because the Bucks' defense had become garbage. And they lost a lot of their defensive identity, and the switch between Adrian Griffin and Mike Budenholzer, and to their third coach, Doc Rivers, which, how did he even get a job? He should have still been commentating on the finals. I wanted to, man, that just, whatever. But hey, that team. Anyway, so look, the Pacers then go on to face the Knicks. Now, the reason I'm talking about the Pacers' playoff successes and woes and whatnot is because the Pelicans do not have any of those things. Whenever they make it to the playoffs, they lose. And they've only done it like one time, and Zion was not healthy. So I'm not even going to bother wasting my time. He got injured in the play-in. I have a video on why I think the play-in sucks. But hey, I mean, maybe I'm coming around to that 2 years later. Look. So they go up against the Knicks, and they win that series again. And yes, the Knicks were injured, but I want to add some context to those injuries. Before they got injured, the Pacers were keeping up with this team. Yes, they were keeping up with this team. That is why the series went to 7 games in the first place. That's a real thing. You can't just be like, well, they played a Mickey injury team, and then when they played against a real contender, they almost went home. Yeah, that's kind of how competitive basketball works, buddy. Regardless, if Brunson doesn't get injured, yes, the Knicks probably do move on. And yes, they did play against a team that was a heavily Allen Iverson-inspired looking team when Brunson had the ball 95% of the time. And yes, I do not believe in this team to win a championship this year. But the reason I'm talking about them is because I would not be surprised if they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And any team that can make it to the conference's finals can make it to the finals, and they can win the whole thing. So you do need to keep them on your radar. Pascal Siakam is a great addition that this team made during the season. Pretty early on in the season, to be fair, not at the trade deadline, which, you know, allowed them to get some more chemistry in. But I think they'll be even better going into a full offseason of that, right? That's good. Halliburton got experience playing with some of the best players in the world. I want to see how he implements that into his game. Because even if he wasn't playing on the court, you know he had to play in the practices. And even those are different. Truthfully, this is going to be a great season for the Pacers. They could have a really good season. So let's look at another thing that I think the Pacers are going to do. The Pacers are one of the contenders out east that I think actually will take the regular season seriously. And with them doing that and taking the regular season seriously, they can have a good seeding. And for whatever reason, I used to gaslight myself into saying seeding doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it's going to be LeBron James and Steph Curry. We don't live in that era anymore, buddy. We live in the real man's world. Anyone can make it, brother. Get in the ring, and you'll never know who comes out alive, brother. Will it be the Pacers? Will it be the Bucks? Maybe it'll be the Timberwolves. I'm not Wolf. I'm not about to do the thing that I was going to do in my head. I was going to do the whole ooh thing. I'm not doing that. We're not howling at the moon. There is no moon. It's broad daylight. So, we're at that point of the video where, you know, I gracefully, I get on my hands and knees and I pray and I beg for likes so I can quit my day job and still have health insurance. In this cruel capitalist world, it's so sad. But I'm not gonna do that. We're gonna have some dignity, some respect. I'm gonna put my chest down. I'm gonna be a big boy, a big man. Give me a like, cause this video deserves it, brother. Give me good likes and algorithm luck, brother. Maybe this video will go up today. Maybe it will go up tomorrow. But the Hulk Hogan WrestleMania. Please like the video, man. Please like the video. If you like the video, please subscribe if you like the video. And also, if you dislike the video, tell me why you'd hate the video in the comments. Because no one will ever see your dislikes except me. So, I don't know. Don't waste your time. Loser.